I am coming off a boot camp high, y'all, and I wanted to say, one, had a great time. Thank you for everybody who joined us in the boot camp. It was a great time. I learned just as much from you as you probably did from me. And I wanted to talk today about a common theme that we either talked about or we saw in that boot camp, and that was reactivity. Reactivity, my friend. Oh, either you've got the dog that is lunging and barking and you don't know why they're doing it. You've got the dog, maybe on the opposite end of that scale, that wants to see every single dog. Every single dog is my best friend and I need to get over there right now. Whatever it is, this episode is your permission slip. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm going to mic drop a moment for you, and I want you to really embrace it and then buckle in for this episode. Are you ready? Your dog doesn't need any more friends. Boom. There it is. I said it. I says what I says. You don't need to make your dog feel better. You don't need to try to do slower introductions. You don't need it, my friend, and I'm going to tell you why right now. So let's get into it.
Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it.
Hey there, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I've had so many of you reach out to me, those that took and participated in the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp, saying that you have not yet had a chance to go over all of the replays from the boot camp, in particular, the 2.5 hour Q&A that I did. 2.5 hours, y'all. I can talk dog. I mean, you asked, I answered. I kept going. 2.5 hours. I think somebody commented on there that they had to sit down 3 times to finish that Q&A, but she did say it was so worth it. So there you go. So I get it. Life is busy. Life is lifey. So Paisley and I have decided that we will extend. We are going to extend, give you some time so that you can take it all in. So if you haven't had a chance to review all of the replays of the boot camp, including that Q&A that was so good, you still have time, and then you still have time to jump in and get those boot camp specials to join us over in the Fearless Framework. So you can go to beyondobedience.ca/replays and get those replays now, see those Q&As, and we'll extend the time for another couple of days for you to take advantage of all of the goodies available to you there. So go ahead and jump on over there when you got the time, beyondobedience.ca/replay. Not replays, it's replay, REPLAY. I had to actually look up in the air to figure out how to spell replay. That's embarrassing. All right, let's get into it. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Oh, what's happening with my voice? Can you tell that I have been talking a lot? This is Tracy after a boot camp. I have been talking a lot, but it has been so much fun. Today on the podcast, I wanted to talk about a very important mindset. Oh gosh, brain, come on. Mindset shift that I want to give you today, my friend, because after talking to so many people this past week about reactivity and you know, we talked about all of it. We talked about, like, you know, what's the difference between a dog that's doing it in fear versus a dog that's not doing it in fear. We talked about the fact that, yes, indeed, dogs do become patterned and almost addicted to reactivity. That is a thing that happens. We talked about the other side of this, not dogs that are afraid or don't like dogs, but the opposite, dogs that love other dogs. They love all the dogs, and they're pulling to get over to see every single dog. And no matter what, time and time again, people were still trying to do the same sort of thing, either getting the dog to feel better about the dog over there by giving them food or treats or engaging and disengaging, or In the cases of dogs that love other dogs, trying to slow down introductions and all of these things. And I today wanted to talk a little bit about this idea that one, your dog doesn't need any more friends, right? And they don't have to like every single dog that they meet. Okay? Those are two, this is your permission slip to be like, your dog doesn't have to like every single dog they meet. And I wanted to actually bring up one of the main players in the Calm Down Dog, one of the main characters in the Calm Down Dog boot camp was my dog, Lincoln. Lincoln was a Doberman. And a beautiful dog, beautiful, beautiful dog. I mean, I used to say that Lincoln was such a good dog. He was such a good dog that I forgot that he was a Doberman. And what do I mean by that? I kind of forgot that some people have preconceived notions about Dobermans, that some people are a little apprehensive around them. And I can remember a time because I would use Lincoln all the time as the demo, not the demo dog, but the other dog, like to play the part of the other dog, right? Because I knew that he was good. Like he was a nice dog. He was always giving out good vibes and whatnot. And I would hand him to like people and be like, can you walk this dog? And I remember in particular, it was one couple and we were working with their dog. Their dog was really uncomfortable around other dogs. And I hand Lincoln to him and Lincoln starts acting weird. Like he's acting all kinds of weird. And I'm like, what is he doing? Like he knows how to walk on a leash. Like what is happening? And then finally the guy turned to me and he said, I need to tell you, I'm terrified of Dobermans. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. He's like, I've just been walking around in this circle thinking he's got to be a good dog because a trainer owns him. Like a trainer owns this dog, so he's not going to bite me. He's got it. And I was like, I kind of forgot that Dobermans can be a little intimidating. Now, full disclosure, I had 3 Dobermans over my lifetime, and we never did their ears. Like we had the floppy-eared Dobermans. So to me, they never quite looked as, intimidating. But with Lincoln, I kind of forgot. Like that's what I used to say. He was such a good dog. I forgot he was a Doberman. I forgot that he might intimidate people. Like that's how good he was. Anyway, I digress. And if you want to hear the Lincoln and Ford story, that was like the main thing of the Calm Down Dog Boot Camp, go on over and check out those replays, beyondobedience.ca/replay, and check out those replays because it'll blow your mind. Anyway, back to Lincoln. So Lincoln was just like a really, really great dog. And when we first opened our daycare, Lincoln, we called him our ambassador dog. Like he was the dog that was in the front office. He would greet all the dogs when they came in. He was like the most playful, loveliest dog in the play yard. He loved everybody. And he was that ambassador for quite a while. Like, like people would come in and they would be like, where's Lincoln at? Like he was like, he loved everybody. He loved all the people. He loved all the dogs. He was a great player. Like he was fantastic. And then over the years, and some might argue after you see the videos with Ford, it might have been Ford's fault. But over the years, and I mean years, like when Lincoln turned probably around 5, he started to become a lot more discerning on who he liked to play with. He suddenly started to shift, and now he didn't really like the adolescent-y type dogs that were in his face all the time. It was almost like he outgrew them. Like he was like, I don't do that anymore. Like grow up. I don't do that anymore. And as he grew up, like he got more and more and more discerning. And then one day, and we weren't paying attention. Like we just weren't paying attention. He was like, we had labeled him our ambassador dog. So go do your job, Lincoln. Like that's what we were like. And one day he snapped at a lab. It was like a 9-month-old lab, adolescent, just goofy black lab, just as black labs are, just goofy, fun, nice, but snapped at the dog. And I was like, what happened? Like, and I was so disappointed. I'm like, Lincoln, like, you love everybody. And it was at that moment that I was like, how interesting. And it was at that point that it took Lincoln to actually snap in another dog's face for me to be like, I should probably be paying a little bit more attention to him. And I noticed that, he didn't like now when dogs were body bumping him. He didn't like when he would give like clear signals that playtime was done and the adolescents weren't listening to it because adolescent dogs, he literally was starting to get really, really tired of that. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And so we started to be like a little bit more aware of it. If it was a higher energy group, we gave Lincoln permission to leave. And we started off by actually just leaving a dog door open and watching him. And lo and behold, Lincoln would leave. What? He would just go. He'd be like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Sometimes we'd bring him into a play group and he would look at the dogs and be like, not today. And he would walk out. And I was like, right? So I started being a lot more like discerning about like, what are the dogs actually saying to me? Like, what dogs are really loving this and what dogs aren't? And I started using the same thing when people would come. This has happened to me more times. I'm just remembering the one because she was so upset about it. But I would have, like, we never let people just automatically say, yeah, you can sign up for daycare. We didn't, unlike other daycares, we didn't have a testing thing. I usually took any dog, whether or not they were eclectic or not, because we were the catch-all for all behavior stuff. We had, opportunities to allow dogs that were, maybe not the best socialized dogs to learn how to be social dogs and all of that stuff. But I did always suggest to people that, we want to actually first ask your dog. Thank you, Lincoln. Ask your dog, do you even want this? Is this something that you like? And there were quite a few dogs that would come in and they didn't, it's not like they were like shivering in the corner. I hate it here. But they were like, it's not really my thing. Some of them we would call, like, we had some that I used to call them independent explorers, and they would kind of do their own thing. They were fine with other dogs as long as no other dogs bothered them, but they didn't really care to engage. And it was this one dog, it was a golden doodle, and her name was, I want to say Gracie. That might have been, not have been her. Anyway, and we did the whole, like, we'll take her for the day and see how she does. And she just didn't like it. Like, I just got the vibe from her. She wanted to hang out with me. She didn't really care about the other dogs. When the dogs got too close, she was like, go away from me. Like, she didn't really like it. And so I gave her the option to, sort of keep trying. Sometimes the first day is overwhelming, blah, blah, blah. End of the story was I ended up basically saying to this owner, I'm like, I don't think daycare is her jam. And she was like, no, she loves other dogs. And I'm like, that's a bold statement. I said, but she doesn't like this. Like, she doesn't like this. And she was like, no. And I'm like, she might like to have one or two friends, but this might be overwhelming for her because there's like 20 dogs out in this yard, kind of a thing. Anyway, long story short, she burst into tears in my office and was like, she needs to have friends. Like, what kind of life will she have if she doesn't have friends? And I was like, she can have a great life. Like, she has you. You're pretty amazing. Like, it's not sell yourself down the river. I mean, you're pretty good. Like, you're fun, maybe. Anyway, the long and short of it is she left. She was very angry. She gave me a scathing review, which I love. This is why I didn't want to do it anymore. She gave me a scathing review and then proceeded to take the dog to another place. And it was shortly after that it was probably about, I don't know, maybe about 9 months later, she actually contacted me and wondered if she could bring her dog for boarding. And I was like, I mean, maybe it was petty a little bit, but I was like, don't you have another place? And she was like, yeah, her dog got badly injured. And I would assume her dog probably got badly injured there. Because she didn't really like it. She got overwhelmed. And then, stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what exactly happened. I'm making wild assumptions. But my point is this. Not all dogs need or want a bunch of friends. That is a human construct in our mind. Like, we've created that. And again, this kind of goes back to one of my previous episodes about this idea that, humans think about social units and and how we look in the community, and that we should get along with our neighbors, and we should get along with our community, and we should, we think about our town, we think about it. I want to sort of anchor you back into this idea that dogs don't think that way. Dogs don't think that way. Dogs are about their social unit. Who is in my social unit? What is and that social unit is based in survival. And so we have this idea that our dog should have friends. That's not necessarily the case. So this is my permission slip, okay? My permission slip is your dog doesn't need to like other dogs, okay? Now, I want to kind of go in two different directions here, because remember I said, I'm going to give you that permission slip for both scenarios. You have a dog that doesn't like other dogs because they are nervous. They have gotten addicted to the dopamine of reacting, whatever that may be. And we can discern that later. There's that side of it. And then there's a side where your dog loves other dogs and wants to be with other dogs. And I'm going to give you two different sort of mindset shifts for the same thing. It's all under the same umbrella of your dog doesn't need to have more friends, okay? Your dog doesn't need to like every dog that they see. So the first one is the side where the dog is barking, lunging, reacting because they don't want to be with that dog. Some of those dogs, that's fear. And when they're reacting like that, they are acting a fool to try to get distance, to get space, to let them know, get away from me. And we can usually tell the difference because it's very frantic. And it's got forward energy, but also pulling back, that I'm going to say these things, but also I'm scared of you, So we can kind of discern where that's coming from. There's that. Sometimes there's I don't like the look of your face because you're my neighbor and I've been talking smack to you forever. And we've just got into this repertoire of just smack talking. And this is now the thing that we do, right? And sometimes that is just, I don't like you. I don't like anybody. Okay. And if you've been trying to get your dog to accept or like the other dog, I need to tell you that the goal is never going to be that your dog needs to like every single dog that they meet, because that's a stupid, stupid rule, right? We don't like every single person we meet. That's the reality of it. We don't like every single person. Why would your dog need to like every single dog that they meet? Why do they have to like every single dog? Maybe your dog is fine and that dog's the jerk. You don't know. You don't know what started that. Maybe that's the situation. But regardless of what the situation is, your dog does not need to like every single dog they meet. But here's my rule. You don't have to like other dogs, but you can't be a jerk about it. You can't be a jerk about it. That's it. I don't expect you to like that dog over there, but we don't have to act a fool about it. We're just going to have to act a fool about it. You do have to exist in this world without losing your mind, right? That's the goal. Okay. Now let's look at the other side of that coin. The other side of that coin is you have a dog that's pulling and lunging and freaking out and jumping up and down because they want to go see that dog. They want to go see that dog. Ugh. Guess what? Your dog also doesn't need to have that dog as a friend. Your dog also doesn't need to have that dog as a friend. Your dog doesn't need to meet every single dog. They don't need to go see every single dog. In fact, lots of those dogs don't want to meet your dog. Oh, gosh, that hurts. Lots of those dogs don't want to meet your dog. So we don't want to work towards slowing down the introductions. We don't want to work towards them being calmly meeting the dogs. I don't want you to even go up to that person and be like, can my crazy banana beans dog meet your dog? No. You want to work towards this one goal. You ready for it? It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Here's your goal. I want you to start working on how can I be just as exciting as another dog. You should start to be offended, honestly. You should start to be offended that your dog is like, everything else in the world is more exciting than you, dud. Like, you should be offended. And maybe it is because you've just been taking the dog for a walk. And if that's the case, let's change that. Let's change that, my friend. Just walking around for the sake of walking is pretty boring. If you were to decide to be somebody a little bit more exciting, if you made the decision today to start to really get to know what lights your dog up and be a part of that, what possibilities would there be if you could actually work towards the goal of, I am going to create a walk that is going to blow my dog's mind, that they are never going to look at another dog again. Okay, honestly, you're going to be pushing a boulder uphill there a little bit, because you're never going to be quite as fun as another dog. However, when you do that, then we can start to create this idea that on the leash, you're with me and we're going to do fun, awesome stuff. When you're off leash and we're at our dog friend's house in the backyard, you can play with that dog. And that's it. And your dog will be perfectly content. Your dog doesn't have to meet every single dog. I remember I shared that video once of how I was walking my dogs and I shoot a dog away, and somebody like popped up in the comments of the social media post and was like, what if that dog was friendly? What if that dog just wanted to be friends with you? And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. My dogs don't need friends. And they don't. My dogs don't need any other friends. They are perfectly content. If you work so hard to build a fulfilling life with your dog, they don't need anyone else. Remember, that's not how dogs are wired. They don't need everybody else. That's just us. That's our brain. I still remember the exact moment when that woman in my office burst into tears because I was like, your dog doesn't like this kind of thing. And she was like, but she has to have friends. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. Neither, like, take that stress off you. Take that stress off you, friend. So there you go. Now, when we're talking about the other dogs, there's some work that you have to do. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be easy if you've got a dog that is like, every time they see another dog, their adrenaline pops up and we need to then, honestly, first step there is we're going to stop walking the dog. We're going to do other stuff. And all of that kind of stuff is stuff we do inside the Fearless Framework. So if you want more on that, come on over, friend. Right? Because again, if you haven't heard, we are extending that boot camp offer because Tracy went insane and spent 2.5 hours on Q&A. And I can understand people had to pop up. Even the people that were there live, people were like, I can't stay this long. Like, I have a life. I have to go pick up my kids. I have to do stuff, Tracy. So they're like, I have to come back and watch the second half of that. And it's true. So that was on me. I get a little excited about Q&A. So here is your opportunity. If you're just finding out about the boot camp now, here's your opportunity. You can grab all three videos, day 1, day 2 of the actual boot camp, and then the 2.5 hour Q&A. You're welcome. So if you're sitting there thinking, I thought I couldn't get enough of Tracy, I challenge you. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. There you go, my friend. And of course, with that boot camp, there are bonuses in there that only happen during boot camp time. So if you are someone who has been on the fence and you've been like, I think I kind of want to hang out with Tracy more, see her in person every month, hang out, have videos, do all that stuff. And you're thinking the Fearless Framework might be something that you will enjoy, I encourage you to come on over there. But grab that boot camp. Grab the boot camp discounts first. Do that first. So head on over to beyondobedience.ca/replay. I'll put that in the show notes, and grab the replays, grab the bonuses, all of that fun stuff over there. All right. Did I cover everything? I don't know. I kind of went off on a tangent there. The whole thing is this. Your dog doesn't need more friends. So you can stop making them feel better about it. And I will tell you this as an end thing. When you make that shift, either scenario, when you make that shift, like, I don't actually need you to feel better about this dog. I just need you to stop being a jerk about it. Or you don't need to have those as friends. I just need you to focus in and dial in on me. And how do I do that? I can become the most influential person in this conversation by doing things that you love, that lights you up, by really understanding you. Once you get all of that, now you have the influence that it takes to be everything for your dog. Like, influence is everything. So there you go. Again, apologies. I'm tired. coming off that boot camp high. I'm just, sleepy. I hope this helps you today, my friend. Listen, if you are liking this kind of stuff, can you do me a favor and head on over to Apple, leave a 5-star written review. It really helps to push this podcast out to more and more people. As always, get out there today, my dog-loving friend, and be the person that your dog knows you are. Because your dog thinks that you're amazing, and so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, her name was Abby. Wasn't Gracie. That's how long it took for my mind to remember her name was Abby. And also, so you know, this podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only. It is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.